Welcome in to episode number 21 of Around the Feld. We had an action-packed Week 6 this week. Ton of upsets, like we both said on the show earlier. We knew it was going to be chaotic, and it didn't disappoint this week.
Yeah, Reagan, it was a great week of football, except, my Giants fell just short. 1 yard short, to be exact. Yeah. But, like you said, a lot of upsets. And, hey, tip the cap, brother. You picked 2 big upsets this week.
Thank you. Yeah, 2 of them. And I also got us both to switch to the Giants,
Yeah.
I backed my boy Tyrod. I had no trust in pennies, and Tyrod got it done for us.
Yeah, more like the defense got it done for us.
Tyrod didn't kill you, though.
No, he played pretty well.
But, yeah, no, a lot of big upsets. Because freaking the Browns with P.J. Walker getting the win over the 49ers was huge. The Jets over the Eagles. We saw the Texans win. Who else won? There were a couple other underdog upsets now.
Yeah, trying to think. Let's see.
But either way, for those of you in Survivor pools out there,
dogs.
It was a crazy week. Yep, Commanders too. That was another upset. But the 2 biggest one, obviously, were Jets and 49ers and almost the Giants, which probably would have been one of the biggest upsets we've seen in a long time because that spread closed at 15.5 points.
Which is wild.
In favor of the Bills.
Which is wild.
So, yeah, very wild. Very wild. But, hey, they covered. So
They covered. All right, let's get into some news. Not a ton, but just some injuries to monitor. Trevor Lawrence hurt his knee, but it's being reported he did avoid a serious injury. Thank God for the Jacksonville Jaguars and their fan base because season would have been over. They say he's day-to-day, so, lucky for them.
Yeah,
they would be in a tough spot. Other quarterbacks, Jimmy G was taken to the hospital during the game for his back. It was for precautionary reasons, but this is what we've historically seen from Garoppolo. He gets banged up, and it's not like he's even playing well this season. I know going into last week, he led the league in interceptions, which is not good. The Raiders finally scored 20 points for the first time all season. So, I don't know about you.
They're 3-3, though, which is crazy.
Yeah, the defense has been much better than what I anticipated, led by Max Crosby. But, this is kind of what I expected from Jimmy. Leaving the Niners, going to the Raiders, I didn't really expect him to be too good. He's had injury history in the past. And, I don't know.
His team's scrappy, though. I'm not going to count him out.
Where's Devontae Adams, though? I will say, the past 2 games, he's been very quiet.
Yeah. Well,
Jacoby Myers looks really good.
It made a lot of sense in the Patriots game just because Bill Belichick is so good at taking away your number 1 option.
That's a good point, yes.
But still, he's like one of the best wide receivers in the league, so you'd like to see him be more involved. I know he has been dealing with injuries, though, because obviously he got banged up the week before.
The shoulder.
So you got to think that's still lingering. But like we said, he's one of the top receivers, so you'd like him to be a little more involved than 1 catch.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Other quarterback news, Justin Fields dislocated his thumb. Apparently he popped it back in and wanted to play, but he couldn't grip the ball. Definitely something to monitor because it's going to be painful, but if he can't grip the ball, he can't play.
Yeah, how about the backup coming in out of Shepherd College?
Yeah, dude, Division II All-Star.
Yeah.
If he's out, they're already 1-5. If he's out, I don't see this Bears team winning any games.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, they have the Panthers pick, which is number 1, and their own, which is number 2, which...
Not a bad spot to be
in. If you're a Bears fan, let's just, let's keep losing a little bit.
And then also, like you said, with quarterbacks, Tannehill left the game with an ankle injury, so we got to see a little bit of Malik Willis.
Who is, whew!
So I would be interested to see if they went with Levis or Willis if Tannehill is to miss some time.
It's interesting. They must not think Levis is ready because we saw from Malik Willis last year he certainly wasn't ready to the fact that when they were going for a playoff spot they brought in Josh Dobbs to start, which is just asinine. And now Willis, he just holds the ball too long. He doesn't really process things fast enough. Took a lot of sacks. So I agree. It's going to be interesting to see who they roll with. But if Levis isn't ready. I don't see the Titans really making a run if Tannehill's expected to miss a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christian McCaffrey hurts his oblique. Also, Deebo Samuel hurt his shoulder. Niners had a lot of guys go down in that game to the Browns. The Browns were very physical. Someone actually matched their physicality for once. Not good for this Niners offense because we kind of saw Brock Purdy struggled a little bit. Granted, it was raining against a very good defense. But without McCaffrey, he didn't really play up to the standards that he was previously this season.
Yeah, Jordan Mason's no Christian McCaffrey, so it's a
Mason,
big drop.
He ran the ball pretty hard, though.
Yeah, but he ain't a dynamic receiver like McCaffrey.
No, absolutely not. And another news, flag football. Come to the Olympics, 2028. Tyreek Hill came out and said, NFL guys, let's go.
That's going to be fun.
Tyreek said he wants to be retired by then anyways, but it doesn't mean he can't play some flag football. Do you think the NFL guys are going to build an all-star team and run it, or do you think it's just going to be...
I don't even know if they need that. To start, they probably don't even need to build an all-star team, but we'll see. I mean, this is 5 years down the line.
They could probably build a college all-star team and win it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think this will be probably one of the most interesting sports to watch. Like,
I'll watch it. I'll tune in.
It's going to be cool.
I don't really ever tune into the basketball Olympics that much, but this I'll definitely tune into.
Yeah, I kind of don't really tune into the basketball until it's like the semifinals.
Yeah, but this I'll want to watch right away.
Because apparently the NBA guys are actually like forming an all-star team. Because usually you never get the best players for U.S.
Yeah.
But hopefully for football they get the
I'd like to see it.
It'd be interesting to see the global talent too.
Yeah, right? Maybe some guys get some NFL looks if they play well. I know it's flag football, but if you've got a guy that's a speedster and can run some routes on some NFL guys...
Yeah, if you're cooking like an all-pro corner in flag football, you got to think that...
Yeah, possibly. Possibly they get a camp invite. I don't know. All right, Joe, what do we got for questions this week?
All right, to start off, we got Shawnee Moe.
Shawnee Moe.
He wants to know if Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback in New England next year. Is this his last year in New England?
I mean, it might not be his last year in New England, but I don't see how he's starting next year because unless they're to trade him, which I don't know what you would get for Mac Jones at this point. I mean, you definitely get
like
if
a 5,
Trey, you would have to think it would be more than Trey Lance went for because Mac Jones has
done more,
been a Pro Bowler and been in the playoffs, so you would have to think he'd go for at least a third if Mac would because Lance went for a fourth, so you'd have to think he would go for a third at least. And I just can't see him being the Patriots quarterback because I think they're going to end up at this rate being a top 10 pick, maybe even top 5. It's hard to count out the Patriots, so I'm going to say top 10 pick. So
I think that's a lock. They're top 10.
Yes, you would think they're going to address the
draft class.
Yes, you would think they'll address the
division.
quarterback thing, and then also Mac Jones is on his rookie deal, so they're probably not going to pick up his 5th-year option, but they may just end up keeping him around as a backup quarterback. And if they draft someone that they don't think is ready right away, maybe have Mac Jones play the first couple games as almost a bridge quarterback.
I agree 100%. They won't pick up his 5th year. They'll have him on the roster next year, and he'll compete with the rookie. And then if Mac starts to play very poorly early on like he has this season, because, I mean, hopefully they upgrade the talent around him because, I mean, it's not like he's got any stud wide receivers. Like, they're struggling all around, but Mac is certainly a big part of the problem. There's no way he's a franchise quarterback in my mind. I don't think he'll ever lead a team to a Super Bowl. And once you accept that, you got to understand you got to move on because they're definitely not going to pay him. I don't see that happening.
No.
And would they trade him? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they traded him in the offseason.
Yeah, I would think somebody would want to take a shot on him at least.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to find, a good spot for him with the way he's played this year.
Yeah.
All right, next we got Jared, and it seems like this question's more directed towards Reagan. He goes, "What's good with the MVP car and the rushing leader Najee? I took out a loan to throw huge units on both picks."
Are you sure that's not directed at Colin? Are you sure that's not directed at Colin? Yeah. Obviously, they're both not looking great right now. Pittsburgh can't run the ball, so even with Najee, it does look decent. Doesn't matter. This team can't run it. This offense looks putrid, so that hot take pick went out the window. And then
Reagan wants to eat. They're hot takes. They're hot takes. We didn't tell you to take out a loan or put the house on it.
I definitely didn't say that. So I'm also a little annoyed that you didn't have enough confidence to put your house on the line. But all right, I see how good of friends we are. And then with Carr, I mean, I'm not calling it dead yet because.
Oh, it's dead, dude.
It's probably dead. Hey,
how is he catching up to like Allen or Tua or some of these other guys?
It's probably dead, but I mean, he could still have a Pro Bowl type season. I mean, the Saints are 3-3. Carr didn't look terrible yesterday. I mean, he didn't look great. They couldn't punch it in. But
how many games this year have they scored 20 points?
I think one. I think it was only New England. Yeah, and they're 3-3. I mean, this defense
is legit.
His defense has been legit. But I think this offense is starting to figure it back. It helps getting a dynamic guy like Kamara back as well. And Mike Thomas staying healthy is definitely a positive sign. So I think there's better days ahead for Carr, but I think
Thomas I like Rashid Shaheed more than I like Michael Thomas.
They're different. They're different
but
styles.
Him and Carr,
Shaheed's
absolutely.
burner.
Yeah, but him and Carr have a good connection right now.
Yeah.
It's like every time I look up, it's like, oh, that Rashid Shaheed downfield.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't hate this team season long, and I think Carr has better days ahead. Especially now that his shoulder's looking better and better every week, but MVP is going to be tough, man. But I'll take my L on Najee. That one's cooked. When you got a guy like A-Chain who's got like 500 yards on 30 carries and still probably in the season after missing 6 games. He's going to be out 6
games and still have more yards
hopefully Pittsburgh is figuring some stuff out on their bye week, but not a good look.
All right. Do you think we will ever see a point this season that Bijan has 75% or plus of the backfield?
No. I don't see it happening because they
unless
clearly,
Algier is to miss the game.
They clearly want to have a long-term approach with him. They don't want to wear him down because, running backs, if you give them a lot of touches early on, they wear out by the time they're 26, 27.
We've seen it with every good young running back.
Like they like to get Bijan the ball more in space and throw him the ball and like to run Algier more so between the tackles because Algier does get a few more carries a game, I'd say, than Bijan at this point. Maybe they're saving him for the end of the season. But they were talking about in the broadcast, they were like, they don't want to beat him up early, but in the fourth quarter of games, you need your best players on the field.
Yeah.
They did have him on the field, but they weren't playing him as the running back. They were throwing him in the slot. So he is on the field.
He is on the field, but you got to get the hands and get the ball in the hands of your best players at that point of the game. So I don't like when they're inside the 5 or inside the 10 and Bijan's on the sidelines in the fourth quarter of a game when you're down. Like the guy, you saw his touchdown last week. Yeah. Not many guys can make a play like that in this league.
Yeah, no, unless Algier's to miss time, I don't see a game where he's at those numbers.
If Algier's to miss time, no, Bijan could be the number one fantasy back for.
But then I wouldn't even be shocked if then Cordell Patterson steps into a more involved role.
Yeah, the next week Cordell Patterson gets 15 carries and Bijan gets 12, and you're
I wouldn't even be that. That wouldn't even surprise me. That is the thing. But I genuinely think that's what would happen. So
I hate Arthur Smith. I hate Desmond Ridder. I hate the Falcons. At least Kyle Pitts is getting the ball a little bit more now.
I don't hate him too much.
Falcons games with Desmond Ridder at the quarterback. Like, if I was a Falcons fan, he's infuriating.
Yeah, he's...
I'm loving it for our season-long bet, that's for sure.
Some of those interceptions the other day were just so bad. We'll get into that.
Since we have that 8.5 win bet on the disgusting weight gain smoothie, I am liking Desmond Ridder a lot at the quarterback. He's really protected me and got my back on that, so thank you, Desmond.
Yeah, that's disgusting. All right, and Jared also had a punishment. It's the loser has to complete a Murph challenge. So if you guys aren't... familiar with that is, it looks like it's a Navy SEAL thing.
It's like the steps, right?
So you have to run 1 mile, do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats.
Yeah, I don't think I could do 100 pull-ups, but everything else I could do.
All done while wearing a weighted vest.
Oh, so I don't think I could do that.
Even more.
I don't even think I could do it with the weight on my on my body already.
You gotta time how long it takes you to get it done.
Dude, the pull-ups would be fucking tough. I'd have to switch it to chin-ups to have a chance, but the weighted vest, is
100 pull-ups is rough.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking.
Do you have a weighted vest? I don't have.
I have a weighted vest.
I don't even know if I could do it. It's gonna be tough without the weighted vest.
I have a 20-pound weighted vest.
I consider doing it without the weighted vest because otherwise it's gonna take all day.
All day. You could rip out sets of 10.
Yeah, if you
that's what I would have to do. Is do 10
pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, 10 push-ups.
Yeah, the mile and the squats would be the easiest parts because it's not weighted. I guess with the weighted vest it is.
Yeah, it is weighted squats.
Yeah, that hurts. You got to run the mile first before you do the squats.
Oh yeah, you're done.
Or you're waddling a mile.
I couldn't imagine you doing all of those and then having to run a fucking mile.
That would suck. Yeah, you'd have to do the mile first. And you'd be like, this isn't too bad. And then you'd get to inning 4 of Colin's hot dog thing. You're like, fuck, this is hard.
Fuck this. I hit the wall. I hit the absolute wall.
That's an interesting punishment. That's someone we could definitely.
I like it.
I'd
be down. I'd be down for it.
It'd be funny to watch.
It's a good benchmark to see where you're at.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Boo his fat ass.
Yeah, I would love that actually.
Yeah, it would suck for me. I think Colin would get it done no problem.
All right, so last we got Austin, and he wants to know who your top 5 running backs in the NFL are right now.
Well, I guess if we're taking out injuries, and you can't put Chubb in there right now.
Yeah, are we considering injuries or just from
I say we do
because right now Eckler's been out all year, but
you can say right now
because
Eckler's
right
still
now
here.
From what you've seen.
Barkley's been out all year, but
yeah. I guess we could talk about just the guys that have been playing. So you got to take out
right now.
McCaffrey's one. McCaffrey's one.
Yeah, McCaffrey's obviously one. I would say Pollard's in the top 5 right now. I would say Brees is in the top 5 right now. I would say
he's been playing pretty good.
Because if we can't put Eckler in.
Well, I don't want to say Mostert, even though the guy's got 12 touchdowns, but he's not a top 5 running back. It's in that system. He's playing phenomenal, but A-Chain was going off as well.
Yeah.
We talking fantasy or best overall backs? When healthy.
I would say
it's a different question.
Yeah.
If we're just talking about the guys that have been healthy, I feel like you have to put Derrick Henry in there still. because he's been healthy and like obviously super dynamic. Without him, that Tennessee offense might be the worst in the league.
Yeah, no, that offense is.
And I don't think it's like something where it's like you put a different running back in, they have success. Like he's just a different breed.
Like Josh Jacobs hasn't really looked like
no.
awesome.
Yeah, like Josh Jacobs coming into the season, absolutely rushing leader, but this year they've struggled to run the ball.
Yeah, I would say Brees, Pollard, CMC, Henry. I'm trying to think of one more.
DeAndre Swift's looked good, but like I wouldn't say that like talent wise he's like.
Yeah, and even yesterday, like
he
got bottled up yesterday.
So
he got lucky scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know. That fifth one's tough because obviously I'd love to say Eckler, but
ETN's played really well.
Yeah, I think ETN's that's a good 5.
ETN's played really well.
5, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd put him in there.
I mean, even like Bijan looks like good.
When Bijan actually gets the fucking ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like when Eckler's healthy, he's in there.
When Barkley's healthy, he's in there.
No.
Barkley's a top 5 running back.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Not at this point in his career, no.
Yes, he is, dude.
No, he's not.
He was easily top 5 last year.
Bro, I don't...
It's rough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, and that's not going to change.
I'm saying, like,
last year, but Josh Jacobs was easily last year, and this year we ain't saying that, so...
I mean, he had a high ankle sprain.
This year,
you know, like when you're hurt, you can't say top 5.
Well, that's why I don't know, man. We'll see. It's a long season, but...
If you put Saquon behind it, awesome.
I don't like that debate, though, because I hate the hypotheticals.
It's a hypothetical. All right, next. Who is more likely to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Lamar, Allen, or Burrow?
Well, right away I could say I don't think any of them are unless they win a Super Bowl. Like, you can't be a first ballot Hall of Famer without a Super Bowl.
I agree with that.
And in my mind, who do I think has the best chance to win the Super Bowl? That's Joe Burrow in my mind, because we've seen him get it done in college. So right off the bat, this guy
he's been to the Super Bowl.
He's a proven winner. He's been to the Super Bowl. And I think right now he has the weapons to do it, and their defense has been getting better and better. And just the fact that he's been in the Super Bowl and kind of like he has, I feel like, a chip on his shoulder that, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that because Lamar also has the chip. And
Lamar also has an MVP, which helps. But I think,
but like MVP
broken, like,
doesn't.
A lot of like rushing records to where it's like.
I know. No, that's a really good question because I could see all 3 of them if they get a Super Bowl or 2 potentially being first ballot because they are the best quarterbacks of this generation over the past 5 years. You know.
The thing with Lamar is how long will his career last, and the same with Allen. Like how long will their careers last? Will they be around? Because Burrow, the way he plays, you think, assuming he avoids major injury, will have the longest career because he's the one who's not putting his body on the line like those two.
But he's the only one that's sustained a major injury.
That's what I'm saying. So
he's the only one of them that has sustained an actual major injury, though.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Like Lamar and Allen have been beat up, but nothing crazy.
Like, the thing is, like, he has a major injury and it hasn't like affected his play. Like, if Lamar or Allen is to sustain a major injury, that takes out like a big part of their game.
Cam Newton
I will say though, Allen's running the ball a lot less this year. They've made a conscious effort to make sure.
Well, you have to, otherwise he's going to end up being like Cam Newton.
They're not running those
he can
QB
throw the
powers
bombs,
anymore.
but like half the reason Josh Allen is considered elite is because of what he can do on the ground.
Yeah, and his fist and the arm strength. Like that throw he made last night against the Giants in that tight window. The touchdown, the second one, that was a fucking insane throw.
I do see Josh Allen having like a Big Ben type of career where he like slowly gets less and less.
His body's just going to break down eventually.
Because you saw Big Ben, like he was obviously not as fast as Josh Allen, but he played similar to him, where the big arm could make all the passes, but also was like so mobile in the pocket and like could break like so many tackles and then go run. But obviously, so I don't know. For me, it's just Burrow based off of like he's going to take like the less grueling hits.
I also think Burrow's definitely going to win a Super Bowl throughout his career.
Yeah, it does seem that way, right? He just seemed like, to me, it's just Burrow has that like
he has
factor that the other two don't.
He's also like kind of a player that it's like in the playoffs, like he just like he turns it on, like it's like a switch flips.
Yeah.
Like
and he's shown that he can beat the Chiefs.
Yes,
the Bills have shown they cannot beat
Lamar,
the Chiefs.
Obviously, the Ravens have been weird the past 2 years because he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, he gets hurt down the stretch, and then they limp their way into the playoffs, but they don't have the firepower to keep up with a team like that.
Exactly. Some players just like turn it on when they need to. All right, so who is your favorite wide receiver and running back to watch right now, not on the Giants or the Jets?
Oh, I mean, how do you say...
For me, I'd say Saquon and Jalen Hyatt. I'm sorry, not Breida. He's so much better. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's fucked, bro. Chill with that.
I like that. That's a good question.
I mean, how do you not say Tyreek Hill? I mean, the guy, he's 180 yards short of 1,000 already, and we're in week 6. Like, the way that he creates separation and what he does after the catch, It's just so fun to watch him play, especially if he's on your fantasy team. It's a lot more fun.
And he had like 2 games, like one with 56 yards and one with 40, and it's week 6 and he almost has 1,000.
Yeah, I kind of like watching AJ Brown, Jamar Chase. Those are 2 guys I like watching.
AJ Brown's sick because he's so physical.
I know.
He's so hard to bring down.
Both of them are fun to watch.
4 games in a row with 125 or more receiving yards, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, in a running back, I always like watching Derrick Henry because he's just like he just gives such pain.
I always think
players.
Every time I watch him play, I'm like, imagine lining up at linebacker and like you got to tackle this guy who's bigger than you. Like you're not used to that.
I like watching him play, and if we're going off like a newer, younger guy, I mean, it's been fun to watch Gibbs and Bijan as well, but Derrick Henry's my favorite to watch because it's just like every time you think he's gonna break it, because it's like how the hell is this safety gonna come up and make a tackle on Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean, duh, but Christian McCaffrey's so fun to watch just because I think back to his Stanford days and how electric he was at Stanford.
It was so fun to watch there.
Then he comes to the league and does the same thing because he's not.
It was a big.
He's
question
not a
mark
monster like Henry, but goddamn, man, he runs through so many tackles. He's strong as hell, and he's just so shifty. I like watching guys that are shifty like that. Can make a lot of people miss. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna CNC.
Who was the wide receiver you were saying?
Tyreek.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, that's all I got for questions.
All right, that's not bad.
Cool. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to dive into the games.
All right, guys, so a lot of you have been asking, hey, where's that music coming from that you have in the show? That's from Danny House. You can check him out on Instagram at Daniel House. He makes a lot of different beats, and he's made multiple beats for us, the one you hear in the intro and the outro and in the division breakdown, as well as the new music I put in for the golf video. So if any of you want to listen to more or get some beats from him for something you want to do, hit him up, and that's Danny House. Thanks.
And we are back. Let's dive into the Thursday night game. The Kansas City Chiefs improved to 5-1 with a 19-8 win over the 1-5 Denver Broncos. On the Chiefs side, it hasn't been sexy, but ever since that Detroit game, which they barely lost without Kelsey and Chris Jones, they just keep finding a way to win like champions do.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, they got the cover down, they got the win done. So let me give you a quick update before, because we're recording this on a Monday, so the Cowboys-Chargers game hasn't happened yet.
The big bet game.
At this point, I am 60-32 straight up. You are 58-34 straight up. So we're both doing really good straight up. We both almost have double the wins than we do the losses, so that's never a bad spot to be in. And then on the spread, I'm 49-40-3, and then you're slightly over 500 at 45-44.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. I'm disappointed in myself. We had a really bad week 5, but we
that week 5 killed you. But you had a bounce back week. We both won 8-6 against the spread. So
yeah,
I mean, one of us will go 9-6 because we're obviously on different sides of the coin, unless we get that push, which would be interesting because that means we're both doing the one chip challenge.
Oh man, I'm praying for the Chargers to roll tonight.
Yeah, imagine if Dallas wins by 2, that's gonna piss me off. That's gonna they got the win, but they just couldn't cover, huh?
Now for the Broncos, Reagan, 1-5, wheels are falling off. Wilson hasn't.
No, I think those wheels are fully off.
Yeah, they're off. They're skirting down the highway. Wilson hasn't been the problem, but he did struggle this game, 13-22 for only 95 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks.
He looked really bad.
They scored 8 points. It's just not good. The defense has been absolutely brutal. It's been the worst defense in football up to this point, but somehow they held the Chiefs to 19 points. I think we're going to see a fire sale at the deadline. There's a lot of talks with Judy potentially being traded. Anyone on defense, apparently Justin Simmons could be a guy. Even Pat Surtain. That name's getting floated around, but I wouldn't trade Surtain. That'd be the one guy I wouldn't trade.
Yeah, I don't think they would. I think everyone else is very touchable.
Very touchable. Yeah.
I mean, right now the only bright spot they've really had on offense is Jaleel McLaughlin. It looks like they got something there with the rookie. But
he looks good. He's a small guy. He's 5'7", but he's a speedster. He's making big plays, and it's clear that it's now Javonte Williams as the power back, and McLaughlin is kind of that more dynamic threat.
Because even when Pirine came in, he fumbled. So I think he's pretty much played himself out of a role. He could be a name traded at the deadline because I still think he has value. He's one of the best third down backs in the league, but it's just he's not electric like McLaughlin, but he's a great blocker. So I think a contender might go out and try to make a move to get Pirine. That's a name I definitely wouldn't be shocked. And I think Sutton and Judy, I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 of them is traded at the deadline.
If both of them are moved, then they're really going full tank. Because then they don't. I mean,
but then Marvin Mims,
thank
right?
God. I mean, Marvin Mims needs to get more targets, man. I mean, he didn't even have a catch this game, but he's been electric whenever he's gotten the ball downfield. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see him get more involved. Trade one of these receivers, if not both. because clearly this team is not ready to compete, and then it'll be interesting to see after the season what Sean Payton decides to do.
I hope they don't trade Surtain, because if they do, I have a feeling he's going to go to an AFC, I could see him going into Buffalo, and that would piss me off so much.
Oh, man. Yeah, that'd be tough. Because they lost Tre'Davious White, so they do need help in that secondary.
But, I mean, I feel like every team, like, no matter who your corners are, I think you have to be making a call, right? I mean...
Yeah, if you have the cap space, I mean, that's an all-pro caliber corner. Those are very rare to find. And we saw, Jalen Ramsey get moved and how he made an impact with the Rams.
And he'll be back soon.
Apparently he's ahead of schedule, so that'll be big for the Dolphins. But yeah, an elite shutdown corner can really help your team down the stretch.
But let's move on to the London game. Our third straight London game. I've been loving waking up at 9:30 or like 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
having some coffee and enjoying the game. I mean, I would enjoy it a lot more if Titans won this one, because not only did the Titans lose, which hurts me because I took their over in wins, but the Ravens, the team I took their under in wins, they got the win. So it was a double whammy for me.
Yeah, that was a big win. Big win for Baltimore.
Big win for Baltimore. Big loss for Tennessee for you.
Yeah, I mean, you like that they scored 24. The offense is starting to click a little bit more because clearly in Week 5 they had a lot of drops. Not good. Tennessee, with Tannehill being out, really could not move the ball. Henry looked good, but when you're playing from behind, you weren't really able to feed him like you would have hoped.
They actually came back. Like, Baltimore, they got the win, but they got, like I said, they were showing the graphic on the TV. Like, they've blown the most fourth-quarter leads, like, in the past 3 years by, like, a wide margin. Like, Baltimore gets up big and then lets these teams back into the game.
That's what happened to the Colts and the Browns. They blew both those games.
And at halftime, I thought it was over.
They should be 6-0. I mean, they've blown two games.
You would think.
It's tough.
And they honestly, this Titans game ended up being a lot closer than it should have been.
Yeah.
Like, Baltimore let them back into the game. At halftime, I thought it was over, especially after that Titans punt returner just, instead of just, hey, let me let the ball go out of bounds or let it go, get down to the 1 yard line. Like, you're still not going to take a safety there. And even if you do, it's still better than giving up the 3 points you did.
Yeah.
You know? So that, right away, I thought, like, Tennessee was dead, and Baltimore let him back into this game, so...
That big play by Tajay Spears got him back in the game. That was a sick play out of him. He's looked pretty good.
So if Baltimore wants to be like considered a Super Bowl team at this point, they gotta figure it out.
Yeah,
they don't look like
they're scrappy right now.
Right now, they don't look
dominating.
like a team that could be in the Super Bowl.
And they got Detroit next week. That's a big test for them.
Oh,
big test for them.
It's gonna be a sick game.
Now on the Tennessee side, Willis came in. He did go 4 for 5 for 74 yards, but he took 4 sacks for a loss of 30 yards in limited action.
Can't be doing that.
It's not good. You can't hold the ball. You can't be taking so many sacks.
That.
And we talked about this earlier. Who knows if Tannehill's out for extended period of time? Do they give Levis a look? I mean, the Titans aren't out of it. They're 2-4. It's a wide open division, but a couple more losses when you start thinking about transitioning over.
And who do they transition over to? Because the fact that Willis was coming in, do they even go to Levis or do they go to Willis? Like,
I don't know, man. I mean, they're in practice with them every day, so they would know which one is probably more ready.
Because I feel like they definitely don't want to give up on Willis just yet. Because I mean, they still invested a 3rd round pick into him, and he was a guy that was talked about going in the 1st round. So.
All right, let's transition.
Because neither guy they drafted in the 1st round, so it's not like it's like, oh, you got to go with Levis. Like, why do you have to go with Levis? You took him in the 2nd round.
They took Levis because he was sliding down the board, and they
and that's kind of why they took Willis too. Both guys were good value picks at where they got him, so it's they don't really owe either of them anything.
Be interesting to see. I mean, they don't have a good offensive line in front of them. The receivers haven't been great. I mean, D-Hop's looked good in times. Burks was out this week. It's a tough situation, but you got to see what you got in the Young Bucks because Tannehill's 35 and he's not getting any younger.
I would say this is definitely his last year there.
I would have to agree with you. The Titans,
at least as a starter. I don't know. I'd have to look at the contract, but I don't see a world where he's.
I think they can get out of this year.
Unless they make the playoffs this year, and it's because Tannehill picked it up. Because that would be the only way they can make it is he's got to step up. Because the defense hasn't been the reason they've been losing. I mean, the offense it seems like all the losses they lose and they're barely breaking double-digit points. Like this game they put up 16, but we saw them lose to Cleveland by putting up 3 points. So
yeah, I mean they're not a team that's built to necessarily compete right now, so you can't roll with a 35-year-old quarterback much longer.
Nope.
Next, we got the Commanders beating the Falcons 24-16. Both teams now sit 3-3.
Yeah.
Both teams, I would say, are pretty streaky. Commanders got blown out by the Bears the week before, and the Falcons had a big win, and now Falcons kind of laid an egg.
Yeah.
And big reason of that was Desmond Ridder. He did throw for 307 yards, but it's against a secondary that has been picked on all season.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw 3 interceptions, 2 of which were fucking brutal towards the end of that game.
Yeah.
They had the ball. They had 16 points, and they had 3 possessions in the 4th quarter. I don't think they got any points.
They
got 6. They got 6. But the score held for a long time, and they were pushing the ball, and then Ridder had that terrible interception in the end zone. Bijan 13 for 37, Algier 13 for 51. I mean, Bijan had 5 catches for 43. So
Big Drake London game.
Big Drake London game, 9 for 125. You love to see that.
Even Pitts was involved.
Pitts finally scored a touchdown. Thank God, free Kyle Pitts. You're happy that the passing game gets going a little bit, but
for fantasy perspective,
it was also a good matchup though. So I don't anticipate this to continue with Ritter under center. On the Commanders side,
another big game for Sam Howell. He didn't have to do much, but 3 passing touchdowns. You love to see that.
Only threw for 151, but he was efficient.
He only had 23 attempts. I mean,
yeah, he was efficient.
Never a bad problem.
They took another 5 sacks though. I mean,
you don't. This Washington O-line's going to get this guy killed. Because as much as you guys talk about the Giants, this O-line is the worst in the league right now.
Yeah, I think the Commanders are the worst. The Giants are the second worst.
And the fact that I'm happy to see Sam Howell doing this, but they're going to get this guy killed if he's getting sacked 5 times a game.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
you like to see Jahan Dotson get involved more. You have 1 target, no catches, but Terry 6 for 81. I mean, the defense kind of took over this game. The offense didn't really need to do much.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, this is a team that could be pushing for a playoff spot in the Commanders.
I think they're gonna end up around 500.
I think come the end of the season they're gonna be right in that 6-7 seed race. I don't know if they're gonna get it, but I think they're gonna be in it till the very end.
I think they're gonna fall short and be picking like 13 to 16 like they have the last 7
But I mean,
years.
I'm saying the last 2 weeks of the season, I don't think they're gonna be mathematically eliminated.
No, I don't think they will be either. But I don't think they're gonna be able to get it done. I don't trust that defense. I do like Howell, and I don't trust Riverboat Ron at the helm. To be honest with you,
what I'll say for Commanders fans is, you got to get Riverboat out of there, but I would be thrilled if Sam Howell was my quarterback right now.
Yeah, because you get a guy in the 5th round. That's huge. Yeah. Just for the cap space and what you can do and build around him.
Yeah, because he's only in year 2 and he already seems like he's the real deal.
Yeah, you got to attack offensive line. You got some good weapons around him. But there's definitely hope for that offense, and Bieniemy's kind of done a good job early on.
It looks a lot better
with Sam Howell. So you like that. Next, the Vikings. Locks covers 19-13 over the Chicago Bears.
Oh, what a play.
And we mentioned that Fields got hurt. He only went 6 of 10 for 58 yards and an INT. And then Tyson Bagent comes in, 10 of 14, 83 yards. He had a bad interception as well, but Bears struggled. DJ Moore had 5 for 51. Not the same type of game he had against the Commanders, but Joe did cash his leg in the parlay.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching with Joe, and we're on the couch, and he's like, "This is over. This is over." As soon as Fields go down, then I'm like, "Hey, you might have a chance," because I mean, freaking. It seemed like as soon as they made the switch, at least he was moving the ball downfield. Fields was awful in this game. He was struggling a lot.
And that's what we've seen from him. He'll come out and put up 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, and look really good. And people are like, "Oh, he's elite," and then he'll just put up a dud. There's no consistency with this offense. I'm surprised the Vikings didn't score more points against this defense. To be honest with you, I was disappointed with the receiving output. I thought Addison was gonna have a bigger game, only 3 for 28.
Did he get the touchdown though to save the week?
Did get the touchdown. Hawkinson at 6 for 50. We thought he was gonna be. I mean, that's a solid game for a tight end, but we thought he was going to have a bigger game than that.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out as the season goes on.
It was an ugly game.
First game without Jefferson.
Madison was also not good on the ground, 18 for 44, 2.4 against the poorest Bears defense. So, an ugly game, but on the bright side, Locks improves to 4-1.
That it did. So, what we got next? Let's move along.
Next, we got Seattle falling to the Bengals, 17-13.
Yeah, I mean, freaking
big win for Cincinnati.
That's a guy who's been big on Seattle. I thought they were going to get it done this week, and they certainly had their opportunities. I mean, they in the 4th quarter they got stopped in the red zone twice going for it. So, I mean, Geno was moving the ball down the field, but it just seemed like as soon as they got to the red zone, he was just not throwing it away. He was taking bad sacks, and he threw 2 picks.
He took 4 sacks, threw 2 picks. He did throw for 323 yards.
I mean, this is a game that Seattle, like, their defense, like I was saying before the year, their defense is legit. They got a lot of names on it, and I mean, freaking the Bengals had 14 at half, and they were able to shut them down in the second half. But, I mean, the Seattle offense, you got to, like Geno, you got to finish out these drives. That was a very winnable game on the road for them.
Yeah, Metcalf was targeted 10 times, only had 4 catches for 69 yards.
And he missed them on a wide-open touchdown,
You could tell Metcalf was starting to get very frustrated. But
yeah, it's pretty obvious when he goes out there and is knocking guys to the ground. Just like
he gets raged up.
Dude's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Lockett had a good game, 6 for 94.
Smith and Jigba's getting more and more involved every week.
You like to see that. You would
think they'd involve him more when you put the capital on him like that, but I guess it's hard when you got 2 guys in front of him.
And they like to run. They like to go under center and use tight ends and go 2 wide receiver sets. So not his time yet, but I mean, Lockett's getting up there in age. He's probably a long-term replacement there. On the Bengals side, I was disappointed in Chase just because I had his over receptions, and he had 13 targets, but only had 6 catches for 80.
Well, he also had, I think, he was 5 for like 67 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, let's go, cash. And then, nope. 13 targets, did not get it done.
Yeah, they kind of shut him down.
Yeah, it wasn't a sexy game for Burrow. Only threw for a $185, 2 touchdowns and a pick. But hey, they got the win. They're now sitting at 3-3, and they control their own destiny to make a push to the playoffs.
When they still got Baltimore again, so that's where you catch them in that game. You just got to keep winning.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they can make the playoffs, man. They can make the playoffs.
Definitely.
Burrow's getting healthier. If last week in practice was the first time he was able to run sprints, that's a good sign for them. Because if he's healthy, this team can go on a run. And
next.
All right, next we got Niners falling to the Cleveland Browns on
Biggest
the road.
upset of the week.
Reagan called this one. It looks like they
kind
were
of.
win.
I will say, I was mainly calling this because I thought Watson was going to play. I think if we filmed the podcast after the Watson news, I wouldn't have called this.
You did say, if Watson's out, I'm switching, and then you didn't switch.
I didn't switch it because I was like, you know what? Like, what am I going to do? Make an announcement? But I'm not gonna take my victory lap here. I knew this would be a close game because of the defense, but I really didn't have a lot of confidence in PJ Walker, and they didn't win the game because of PJ Walker.
It was that defense.
Be clear about that. He had 2 picks for 192 passing yards, and Jerome Ford actually ended up having a decent game. Also,
if you go 17 for 84 against the San Francisco defense, that's a good day. That's better than what a lot of other backs have done. So kudos to him and that offensive line. Amari had 4 for 108 on 8 targets. I mean,
he had a big game.
Threat.
And then freaking on top of that, they were able to run the ball pretty effectively. 34 for 160. I mean, you can have 160 on the ground against the 49ers defense. I mean, they got it done, and their defense obviously stepped up. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, McCaffrey got hurt. Oh, well, Debo got hurt. This defense stepped up. I mean, freaking Cleveland's playing with their third-string quarterback, so it's not like...
Yeah, the defense was
I don't want to hear the injury excuses because, freaking, like... You're playing with PJ Walker. I think without McCaffrey and Debo, you still should win this game if you're the 49ers. Your defense didn't do I hate to say it, they didn't do enough.
I understand it's one game. It's one game against a really good defense.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Purdy's guys started to go out. He went 12 of 27 for 125, a touchdown and a pick. Did not look like his normal self. It was also bad weather, so you got to take that into consideration.
I think it's also safe to say that this Cleveland team's legit. I know we were talking about it when the Nick Chubb injury happened. You didn't really think they'd be a team that would be able to win a lot of games still, and I was saying I could see them at that 9 to 10 win range and still fighting for a playoff spot, and I think that's pretty evident now.
It's a huge win. They're 3-2.
I mean, with this defense, as long as their defense stays healthy, I don't see how this team's not fighting for a wild card spot.
Yeah, just like Cincinnati, they control their own destiny. It's going to come down to those division games because Steelers are a solid team. Baltimore's at the top.
All those division games are going to be so ugly.
They're going to be
take
ugly.
the under in every single game because there ain't going to be a lot of points. Which plays well in Cleveland's favor right now because they probably have the best defense out of all of them.
Yeah, they do.
And on top of that, outside of Pittsburgh, they might have the weakest offense. So it bodes well for them. I think a Cleveland-Pittsburgh game is going to be very ugly when that happens the second time around.
I agree with you. All right, next we got the Carolina Panthers at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins won 42-21, but it wasn't smooth sailing early on. The Panthers got up on a 14-0 lead.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, right off the bat, I was like, oh shit, this Dolphins team's getting boat raced, and then... Sure enough,
the offense woke up. They hung 42. This is my survivor pick. The spread was 14, so I'm happy they got it done.
Yep.
Tua with another good game, 262, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Mostert had another 3 touchdowns, which is crazy.
Yeah.
He's a touchdown machine.
He apparently is.
17 for 115 on 2 on the ground, and then in the air.
And then he had another in the air. Yeah, he had
3 for 17 and another touchdown. Tyreek Hill, only 6 catches, but made the most of it, averaging 27.2 per tote. 163 and a touchdown. Waddle woke up 7 for 51 and a touchdown.
Do you actually know how?
Offense is sick.
Do you know how many touchdowns Mostert has this year already? Just taking a guess.
14.
11, but still. Okay,
I thought it was
you're a little bit higher.
I thought it was 11 going into this week. It was 11 after this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but still, that's ridiculous. Through 6 games that he already has 11 touchdowns, and especially with A-Chain being out, I mean, this guy is going to be a stud for fantasy.
He might score 20 touchdowns this season.
I mean, I traded him away in a couple leagues. I mean, and honestly, when A-Chain was healthy, I was like, you know what, I'm okay with that. But now it's going to suck for the next couple weeks. I still think season long, I don't trust this guy just because he's never been able to play a full season before, and also. With as good as A-Chain was, when he comes back, how do you not involve him?
Yeah, he's going to be involved.
So and Jeff Wilson was also out, so I can't see him being not having another running back involved because they know that too. They don't want to kill Mostert because he's clearly very dynamic, and I don't think Miami wants to just stick with one guy because clearly they have a lot of options. And also Jeff Wilson's a bigger back, so I think he's going to get a lot more of that goal line work when he's fully healthy.
I don't know, dude. Mostert's a touchdown machine. Like, he's producing at the goal line. He's not a small guy either, but, you saw Chris Brooks and Salvin Ahmed both get 6 carries each. Granted, a lot of that was in garbage time when they pulled their starters.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But you don't really see anyone rivaling him for touches for the time being, but when Wilson gets back, it will be interesting to see because he will be involved. On the Panthers side, Bryce Young looked better, 23 of 38, 217.
Seems like every week he's getting better.
Getting better. His main guy, Adam Thielen, who could be a fucking league winner this year, dude. 11 for 115 a touchdown. He's been a monster. You like that he's having that connection with him. I'd still like to see Jonathan Mingo get going more, only 2 for 21.
And Chark, too.
Second-round
You'd
pick.
like to see Chark get better, too.
Yeah, I don't know. This Panthers team's struggling, man. They got some injuries. They're 0-6. It almost seems like a lost season.
How about Chuba Hubbard, though? It seems like he looked a lot better than Miles Sanders, a guy who hasn't been able to do much. I mean, Hubbard comes right in and looks
19 for 88 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, Sanders does not look good either.
What do you do for fantasy if you have Sanders? Like, do you think this team's on a bye week, so Sanders will be back after the bye when they go to take on Houston. But if I'm a Miles Sanders owner, I'm not thrilled after that. I mean, I think Hubbard's a lot more involved going forward. Sanders hasn't looked good.
No, yeah, he has not looked good. And I knew the Panthers
Hubbard has, in 7 less carries, he has 52 more rushing yards than him. So Hubbard has been the more effective back. He's at 4.5 yards per carry versus Sanders is 3.1.
And Hubbard's not that good. He was really bad his first few years in the league. One of the most inefficient backs in the league.
But he looks like he's starting to put it together.
It's not a good sign.
Because at 4.1 a carry, that's not bad at all.
It's not bad. And,
I'm sorry, 4.5. 4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So.
And I knew the Panthers would start off slow. I believe they have a bye next week.
Yeah, I think they'll come out. I think their schedule is actually going to be very easy coming up. So they got Houston, the Colts, and the Bears. So those are 3 winnable games for them. I know Houston's and the Colts have looked better, but the Colts with Gardner Minshew are not what they were. And Houston, I think, is very beatable. They've been playing well, but I mean, you give Frank Wright and the Panthers a week off, let them think.
Yeah.
I mean, an extra week to prep, that's going to be huge for Young.
I think they'll win 4 games this year. I don't think they're gonna be a 1 or 2 win team.
No, I mean
they're still.
I look at their schedule right now, and there's not one game outside of Dallas where I'm like, they can't win that, because I think all their division games are very winnable. Because I'm never gonna say you're out in a division game. And the Packers haven't looked great. I mean, the Jaguars have looked better, but we've also seen the Jaguars play down to their competition.
They can lay an egg, yeah.
So, outside of the Cowboys, I mean, I think every game left on the season, I'm not saying the Panthers are going to win a lot of them, but I think you can make a case that they can win it, So, hopefully we get to see Bryce Young continue to improve, and maybe this team gets 4 or 5 wins, because at the end of the day,
you don't have your picks.
You don't have your picks, so you
want
got
to see the young buck develop, and you want to win as many games as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for a confidence boost for the young quarterback. All right, next, speaking of the Colts, they lost 20-37 to the Jaguars.
I told you that. That's another one I called where I said I thought the Jaguars were going to blow them out, double digits. And they did just that. I mean, I knew they were going to come out pissed off Jacksonville. That was pretty clear to me, because obviously week 1, that Colts game, they almost lost. They ended up getting it done, but that was a lot closer, and it's a division game, and I think they woke up on their London trip, because after getting blown out by Houston and losing to the Chiefs, they started to put it together, and this offense seems like they're clicking on all cylinders now.
Yeah,
the defense has been really good on top of that.
Lawrence isn't really throwing for a ton of yards. Not as good as I anticipated, but he did throw for a $181, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
He's been all right, but I mean, the main reason this team's been winning is because their defense has stepped up, a defense we both weren't high on, and ETN is really coming into his own in year 3.
Absolutely, at 18 for 55. Not super efficient, but 2 touchdowns. He had a few catches as well. If he keeps producing like that, this offense is definitely scary. On the Colts side, Jonathan Taylor only had 8 carries for 19 yards, and Moss didn't do much better, 7 for 21.
Yeah, but it's hard to run the ball when your team's down 21-6 at halftime, and then they were down 31-6 at a point in the game, so you kind of have to abandon the run.
Yeah, I
think there's better days ahead.
Minshew threw the ball 55 times.
Yeah, which is never a good recipe to win.
329 yards, but he threw 3 picks, so... Yeah,
big game for Pittman.
Yeah, big game for Pittman, 9 for 109. Colts sit at 3-3, but I think they're about to go on a losing streak. I think their Cinderella runs over here.
Yeah, I mean, this team's never going to win games if you got Gardner Minshew throwing the ball 55 times.
No, it's not a recipe.
They got to get that run game going, because clearly Zach Moss deserves a role in this offense. He's proven that already. So I think between him and Taylor, you got to take a lot off of Minshew if you want this team to continue to win.
Absolutely,
you're never going to win. Never going to win like that.
Next, your Saints drop 1 to the Houston Texans.
Yeah, this
Both
is a tough
teams
one.
sit at 3-3. Texans won 20-13. On the Texans side, we knew the streak was going to come to an end this week. C.J. Stroud finally throws an interception. We talked about it.
Yeah. But hey,
that was probably one of his worst games. He only went 13 of 27.
They didn't need him to do much, though.
Efficient, 199, They ran the ball a lot, even though not super efficiently, only 3.9 per carry, but they got it done. Nico Collins continues to be that number one guy for C.J. Stroud, 4 for 80. The defense has played really well. It was kind of a
it's funny because
game.
His one pick ended up just getting the guy who picked it off, Zach Bond, on the Saints, ended up fumbling it on the return, so they got it right back anyway. So, I mean, this is a game where the Houston defense stepped up. I mean, the Saints just kept shooting themselves in the leg. I mean, freaking your kicker misses 2 kicks. You're fumbling it on your pick. Carr in the offense stalling out. Carr to pick as well. So, I mean, this is a game where, you liked what you saw from Houston. And me, as a guy who's been high on the Saints, you got to learn how to freaking put points on the board. You can't keep stalling out when you get it in Houston territory. I mean, I think they got to try out new kickers because the group missed 2 kicks again. And then that Packers game, he makes that easy kick at the end of the game. That's another win for them. So I think they got to move on from the kicker position because I believe if you can't make the kicks and it continues to be an issue, you got to try out other kickers.
I agree with you. I mean, on the bright side for the Saints, Olave continues to look good, continues to develop. He had 7 for 96. Rashid Shaheed only had 2 catches, but for 85 yards and a touchdown. You love that big play threat they have in the offense, but
this offense has weapons.
Yeah, they do have weapons.
Because even Taysom Hill is pretty dynamic. I mean, the fact that he was 7 for 49 as a receiver, that's got to be a new career high for him. 7 catches in a game.
Yeah, I mean, at 8 targets, that's crazy. I like how they use him, but yeah, this offense needs to figure it out. I don't know if it's Carr being the issue or, I mean, they're not really running the ball super efficiently either.
Yeah, they got to get Kamara going in the run game. Because, I mean, 19 for 68 is not terrible, but you'd like to see that up more because we know what Kamara can be when he's got the holes. He's one of the most elusive, explosive backs in the league. So,
yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up the 1 o'clock slate. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna finish off the rest of the games. What's up, guys? It's Colin from Around the Felt. Make sure you check out our 1 chip challenge video coming later this week for the punishment for this game right here, the Cowboys Chargers. Bolt up, baby. Now let's get back to the episode.
All right, welcome back in. We're going to get right into the 4 o'clock games and the Sunday Night Football games. So without further ado, we had the Patriots going into Las Vegas and losing. And what a way for the Raiders to cover, too. I mean, they covered the 2-point spread, or 2.5-point spread.
Safety.
The safety at the end, I was on Vegas, so I was thrilled about that.
I mean, on the Pats, I'm not very thrilled about that. I thought Bill Belichick and the boys would come out with a win, considering Bill always does well against his disciples. But
yeah, but I think we all realize at this point, like, Josh McDaniels is different.
Oh yeah, he's a phenomenal head coach. I'm done backing the Patriots.
I don't know how you could at this point. I've faded them the past 3 weeks, and I've been very happy.
This was the last straw for me. The last straw. I mean, Mac wasn't as bad, but he was still bad. He threw for 200, 24 for 33 with an INT. Kendrick Bourne had a good game for them, but I mean, if that's your number 1 wide receiver, you suck. Juju just non-existent. Where is he?
No.
Where's Juju?
I think his knee exploded.
He's just not even part of the team.
Well, for me with the Patriots, I'm only going to back them up if it's a division game because those are the only games where I actually could trust Belichick to play well.
Yeah,
or at least in the Jet game, like they'll probably at least they're guaranteed a second win.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but I feel like they'll play the Dolphins and Bills twice, and then they play the Jets again. But outside of that, I have no confidence in this team.
Yeah, I mean Garoppolo went out and Hoyer the Destroyer comes in, goes 6 of 10 for 102.
Stepped up. Revenge game. Another revenge game.
Another revenge game. Michael Mayer, you like to see that. The rookie out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, about time.
75. He had a nice little
you
hurdle.
You spend the capital on him. You gotta get him involved.
Jacoby Myers has been phenomenal.
Another revenge game.
You're almost thinking, okay, why did the Patriots let Jacoby Myers go and bring in Juju? I mean, they have the cap space. Jacoby Myers played very well for the Raiders. Past 2 weeks, he's outperformed Adams. Granted, we talked about it. Adams has the shoulder, but
yeah,
I'd like to see him get more involved. Myers with another touchdown. I mean, it's really the defense that is carrying the load here. Max Crosby is the one that had that half sack for the safety. He's been unblockable. Even without some of these other guys, they're still performing. They're keeping them in games because the Raiders, this is their first game scoring more than 20 points, and they sit at 3-3. They're in the wild card race, which is not something I expected for this team. I still think they'll fall short. They're probably a 6 or 7 win team in my eyes. I don't know how high you are on them.
Yeah, right around there. I just can't count out Belichick, but not a good look for them.
I was talking about the Raiders, not the Patriots.
The Raiders. I could see them pushing.
1-5.
I could see the Raiders still pushing for a playoff spot. I mean, they're 3-3, so it's hard for me to say they're not going to. Like, they got the Bears, they got the Giants, they got the Jets. Still, Chargers, Vikings, Colts. Like, they still have a couple winnable games on their schedule. So
yeah,
I could see this team, like I was saying with Washington before. I'm not saying they're going to get the wild card spot, but I could see them like not being mathematically eliminated with only a few games left in the season. I think they're going to be down the stretch, like still in it.
Next, we got the Cardinals, dropped to 1-5 on the season. They lose 26-9 to the Rams. Yeah. I was all over this one. The Cinderella run for the Cardinals are over. They're not a good team on paper. They were competitive early in the season when everyone's kind of trying to figure themselves out, and now the Cardinals are in trouble.
And without James Conner, I mean, that's, like I said, that's an underrated loss for them. I mean, he's super dynamic in the run game, and then you got to roll with Ingram and Williams. I mean, they didn't even have DeMarcada involved. The guy
everyone's picking up DeMarcada on waivers. He had 2 for 11.
And it was Damian Williams, the old chief running back, and Keontae Ingram as the 2 running backs. But clearly you can't have any of the running backs because the fact that 10 went to Ingram, 8 went to Williams, and 2 went to DeMarcado, I wouldn't start any of these running backs.
No, it's also not an offense that's going to score a lot of points either. So you're almost touchdown dependent on those guys. You're not going to break off a lot of big runs.
I mean, Josh Dobbs kind of got exposed in this game. The Rams defense looked good. Stafford did what he needed to do. Not a huge game for him, but a huge game for Kyron Williams. I was saying that on the podcast. I expected a big game out of him.
20 for 158 and a touchdown.
I mean, one thing you were holding against him was he hasn't been efficient, but finally he had a very efficient and good fantasy game. It wasn't just
7.9 yards per carry. Cooper Kupp.
Biggest game of his career, too.
Cooper Kupp, what, for Williams?
Yeah. 158 yards. I mean, his career high was 103 against the Colts earlier in the year, so massive game for him. And he started out slow, and he was just killing them, gashing them for big runs at the end of the game.
Hey, they wore him out. Cooper Kupp looks like Cooper Kupp. The Triple Crown King is back. 7 for 148 and a touchdown with a long of 49. A lot of big plays. Nakua, although he only had 4 for 26, his target share was really high. It's him and Kupp. They're both going to be really good the rest of the way. He had 7 targets, so don't get discouraged if you have Puka Nakua in fantasy. He's still going to be a huge part of this
Stafford only threw the ball
offense.
24 times, and 16 of them were to Nakua and Kupp.
Yeah,
so
they ran the shit out of the ball. They didn't need to really use those guys as much, but you know.
Because I think the Rams are a team that aren't going to blow out a lot of teams, and they're not going to be blown out. So I think there's a lot of games where these guys are game script proof, and they're going to have good games. And this was just one where they really didn't need them. Like I think against the Steelers next week, that's going to be a closer game than you would think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a solid game. All right, next. Your Jets, Reagan. Big win over Philly, 20-14.
What did Lions and Bucks first?
We're already on this game. We'll do that game after.
All right, fine. All right, fine.
What the fuck does it matter?
All right.
They're both at 4.
Okay, fine. All right. Yeah, big win. I'm freaking thrilled. This season, I mean, after the start of the year with losing Rodgers, and then if you were to tell me, hey, you're going to lose Rodgers, but Zach Wilson's going to step in and lead the team to a 3-3 start, which is something we were saying I would be thrilled about. Because we were talking about it. We were like, yeah, if this team's 3-3, are you happy? And I said, yeah, probably, because our schedule's tough to start the year. And you were like, yeah, like, Jet fans, you might start out 1-5, 2-4, 3-3. Like, don't worry. Like, the schedule gets easier. And the fact that we're able to do this, I mean, our defense is top 3. I think you could even make a case for the best defense in the NFL right now. Because outside of that one hiccup against the Cowboys early on in the year, this defense has looked elite. And we honestly made an Eagles team that was in the Super Bowl last year and has been one of the best teams all year look silly. I mean, Hurts had no time. He was on the run, scrambling out, throwing on the run all game. They couldn't run the ball. One of the teams that is known for being amazing running the ball only had 80 rushing yards. DeAndre Swift, a guy that's been gashing teams this year, was 10 of 18.
Yeah, that Jets defense is legit, man. I'd say they're definitely top 3. I think it's San Francisco, New York, and Cleveland. Yeah. You could argue different orders, but it's definitely a top 3 defense in the league, and they did this without Sauce and DJ Reed, so really impressive from this defense. They picked off Hurts 3 times. That last one was fucking brutal. Yeah. I don't know what Hurts was thinking. You don't really see those plays from him.
No.
But there was no window there, and it was an easy pick. And they also, I mean, Jets didn't have any timeouts, correct? They could have just, he could have taken a sack, and they would have burned a lot of clock, and then you make Zach Wilson
go down the field,
the length of the field for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that was brutal out of Hurts. Very unlike him.
No, we were only down 2 at that point, so you would have just needed a field goal.
2? Okay,
but still, we would have been getting the ball back deep in our own territory with a minute 20, like somewhere in that
Wilson
range.
To make a play against your defense, which is
elite. And then you also got to bank on Zerline making the kick, too.
Absolutely. And A.J. Brown, we said earlier, went for 125 again. He had 7 for 131.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. I mean, I expected a big game from him.
Smith. I mean, he had 11 targets, but only 5 for 44. That's not ideal. On the Jets side, Reagan, I know Big G, Garrett, our graphic guy, he asked me pregame to guess Zach Wilson's stat line. I guessed 21 of 36 for 189, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. He went 19 of 33 for 186, so 2 completions off, 3 yards off, No touchdowns, no picks. I'm gonna say that's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Not bad.
It seems like you got Zach Wilson's number down.
I know the type of
but
game
that's the thing.
Wilson's play.
That's what I'm happy with Wilson. Yeah, he's
not throwing picks.
He's playing like a good game manager. He's moving the ball. I mean, you'd like to see us punch it in instead of getting 4 field goals, but he's not turning the ball over, and that's all I can ask for. I mean, we won the turnover battle 4-0 yesterday. So
usually you win a football game if you do that.
Yeah. So the fact that we were able to win, our defense stepped up, caused havoc, and Wilson didn't kill us.
And I love that Garrett Wilson had 12 targets, man. 8 for 90. You love to see that. Keep feeding the guy the ball because he's ready to break out and be an elite wide receiver in this league. He already is very close, in my opinion, but, it kind of hindered a little bit with the quarterback play last year and a little bit this year.
And I think if we want to be a playoff team, the best way to do it, obviously, is our defense has to continue to play at this level. But, I mean, the best way for us to score points is going to be getting Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson the ball as much as possible. And we did. I mean, Breece Hall was only 12 of 39 on the ground, but expected.
He did have the
Eagles have
game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, he did. And it's expected. The Eagles have one of the best run defenses in the league, but I love to see him involved in the receiving game, 5 for 54. So, both of them getting that much yards for us, over 90 yards apiece. I mean, that's huge. So
absolutely. All right, let's move on. Detroit improves to 5-1. Looks like one of the elite teams in the league. They beat the Bucs 20-6. We were both on the Bucs here, Reagan. A little bit of a misjudge.
Well, I was Lions money line and Bucs spread. I thought the Lions were gonna win by a point or two. I tried to get too cute with it, but
on the Detroit side, Goff played really well. 30 for 44, 353, 2 touchdowns. Montgomery ended up getting hurt in this one, only 6 for 14. Craig Reynolds had 10 for 15. The ground game was non-existent, which is very unlike this Detroit team with that offensive line.
But they lost Montgomery.
They lost Montgomery, and this Tampa Bay defensive front is legit. They have been good against the run all year.
Well, when you got a guy like Vita Vea, that just one of the best run defenders in the league, it helps.
And those linebackers are very good as well. So it's tough to run the ball on that team, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, 12 for 124. He had that nice touchdown that he got that big block from. I believe that was
Craig Reynolds.
That was a huge block.
He's more of a run blocker,
Yeah, and for people like me that have been holding Jameson Williams in fantasy for a year and a half, you love to see him catch a deep ball for a touchdown. That's what this team needs. They need that over-the-top guy, and Williams only had 2 catches on 3 targets, but, I saw him run a comeback route that looked really crisp. That was his other reception. Actually, no, it wasn't a reception. Goff threw it in the ground, but he's starting to look healthy, and that's big for this Lions team.
Hear me out real quick. Sneaky MVP bet right now. Jared Goff, MVP.
I don't hate it. They're 5-1. He's playing well,
He is. You know what his odds are right now, if you had to guess?
2,500?
Plus 1,900.
Oh,
guys that are in front of him right now. Tua, who's looked good. Mahomes hasn't looked amazing. Goff's got better numbers than him right now. Josh Allen hasn't looked amazing, had some flaws. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked amazing, had some flaws. Purdy just had his worst game. Herbert hasn't looked amazing. Lamar's had his struggles, same with Lawrence. So every guy in front of him right now has been struggling. Goff really hasn't had a bad game to point to. Is there one game? Granted, he's not having some of the games. He's not going crazy with the passing yards, but they're they're winning games, and the one loss was in overtime.
Yeah, no, this team.
When their defense allowed 37 points. So it's, to me, right now, if you're looking for an MVP bet with good odds, Jared Goff at plus 1,900, you can't go wrong with that. Because I think this team's going to end up, the way they're looking right now, this looks like a 12 to 13 win team right now.
Yeah, they got a great recipe to win, especially.
And if David Montgomery and Gibbs are to miss time, that just means they're going to have to rely more on Goff.
If they get that 1 seed, I could see that happen.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't have the crazy numbers like those other guys.
They have
the best record in the league.
To me, how do you give it to Mahomes again? I feel like the AFC guys are just going to eat up on each other, and then it comes down to, is Jalen Hurts going to be able to get it? I don't think so with how he's played. And Purdy, I don't after last week, he kind of got exposed a little bit. I mean, it's one game. I'm not going to base my opinion off one game, but I mean, Goff's value right now it's pretty good. You can't beat it right now. So I think it's only going to get. You're not going to get better odds, in my opinion, as the season goes on for Goff.
Yeah, on the Tampa Bay side, Baker had his worst game for the Bucs, 19 of 37 for 206 and a touchdown. He put that loss on him. He says he played terrible.
And he did. But it's good he's taking accountability.
Had 6 points, and they have not been able to run the ball all year. Rashad White, 7 for 26. Keyshawn Vaughn,
They
6
gave
for
up
9.
on it early, too.
They can't really run the football. They struggled. The defense didn't necessarily play that bad against the Lions.
They didn't.
20 points against an elite offense. But, 3-2, kind of coming back down to earth a bit. We'll see how they rebound next week.
3-2, but still leading the division because the Falcons and Saints
Division's
lost.
Wide open. Division's wide open.
It's a 3-team race right now.
Those division games, just like the AFC North.
All right, let's get to our last game of the night.
Oh, man.
Because, like we said earlier, we're recording this on a Monday, so the Chargers and Cowboys hasn't happened. We'll recap that on our next pod. But let's get right into it. How do you feel?
Yeah, my New York Giants fall 14-9. That's one of the most disappointing losses I could remember the past several years.
Yeah, well, I know exactly how you feel because that happened to us with the Chiefs recently. It's a game you come into not having high expectations for, and then you're in it till the end, and then you just lose because a couple
by
things
1
don't go
yard,
your way.
2 yards. You know, they had end of the half, that blunder by Tyrod Taylor checking to a run.
Yeah.
I mean, as a veteran
that's
quarterback,
a different game.
Because you kick that field goal, then, you know, obviously you don't know how the rest of the game's going to play out.
I know,
Different
you
circumstances, but say it is 14-12. You trust Graham Gano, who's an elite kicker, to get that game done, you know, get the win there.
Yeah.
Just very tough moment for a veteran quarterback you would not expect. They really struggled up front. I mean, Azudu went out early.
Yeah.
And
Caught it off with a toe injury.
Justin Pugh straight off the couch from playing left guard to left tackle. And he said in practice last week, he's like, I can probably go 25 to 30 snaps. I got to see how I feel. He ended up playing the entire game over 70 snaps, which is very impressive for his first game back, like 1 or 2 weeks of practice.
Is he already your best lineman?
Coming off an ACL. I think he was our best lineman last night, which is wild. He played great, you know, and you got to respect it because the Bills led the league in sacks coming into this game, and the Giants were second most sacks given up, and they only let up 3.
Yeah.
So you got to take that. I mean, Tyrod did.
Now, is that a Pennies thing or is that a Tyrod thing?
Dude, I don't know.
It
seemed like they were getting rid of the ball quick.
Yeah.
And Tyrod did get outside the pocket. He played solid. He played
smart, man. Like, that's the thing with Jones. I'm not knocking him, but, like, he's got to be smarter because Tyrod was making the plays last night. Like, he wasn't trying to force stuff. He was just throwing it away. He came in and was a good veteran presence, and they kept him in the game. He didn't turn the ball over at all. Or, no, he did fumble it, but he jumped right back on it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, the fact that Tyrod was getting out of the pocket and not forcing the ball, he was just throwing it out, he kept them in that game. I mean, obviously the defense did, too, because if you told me the Giants' defense, the way they've looked all year.
Dude, how about that defense? How about Bobby Okereke last night, man? Bobby Okereke looked like an all-pro linebacker. He had 11 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 pass defended that were going to go to Diggs that, you know, one of them ended up being the interception, which was huge. He played his absolute ass off. McFadden's looked good.
Looked good all year.
He struggled a little bit last year, but as a young guy, as a rookie, but he's looked good this year, man. You know, I still like. I mean, Dexter Lawrence does his thing. He's disrupting the pocket every play.
Yeah, you'd like to see some sacks out of these guys, but it's tough right now. I mean, but you'd like to see at least one sack.
They almost had Allen a few times, but he makes those superhero plays where he's just so tough to get down that he escapes the pocket and then he's on the run and finds Diggs downfield. But this Giants defense has played really well the past couple weeks, which is a positive. It's just, I don't know, I think it's too big of a hole to dig out of at this point. Even though the schedule does soften up,
it's going to be tough.
It's just you're 1-5, you know, like that would have been a huge win, 2-4, and then you got a couple games that you could win. You got the Commanders twice, the Jets, which would be a close game, I think.
No, it will be. Just
and the Raiders.
So the schedule does lighten up, but it's tough because you got to think
1-5.
They got a lot of 50-50 games coming up that are winnable, but they're obviously not going to win them all. So the game like that would have been huge for them.
And on the Bill side, I mean,
they got issues clearly.
They do. They
losing Matt Milano was very. You see how different this. I mean, they played well. But you see, without having Matt Milano, how different this defense looks. I mean,
it's going to be tough.
He's a staple of that defense.
And based off from last year, you don't have Tremaine Edmonds there either next to him. So a lot of inexperience at linebacker. But
and then no White either, Tre'Davious White. So they got some injuries, and it was evident.
Yeah, because it's going to be Kyrie Elam show, the rookie out of Florida from last year. So this is his second season, and he's been a healthy scratch at times, which you don't expect from a first-round pick.
Yeah, don't love that, definitely.
You know, and I mean, Darius Slayton beat him yesterday a few times. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. But this is clearly the Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen show. He had 16 targets, which is 10 more than next closest Bill, which was Dawson Knox. 10 catches for 100 yards. He's been elite. He's just tough to cover. Him and Allen have a connection. I don't know. I mean, if they keep winning, he won't flip out on the sidelines like he has been. But you could tell he really cares. He really wants to win. So I really don't mind it.
I think the Bills got issues, though. If I'm a Bills fan, I'm not happy. Losing to Jacksonville and then barely beating the Giants, a team that's looked like one of the worst
with their backup quarterback and can't block anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I can't believe the Giants were in this game, but it's a tough pill to swallow.
I mean, I can. I took them to cover.
It's yeah, but we didn't think they would have a chance to play from the 1 yard line.
No, I didn't. But I did expect Tyrod to have that revenge factor to him, and he played well. I mean, it's got to mean something to him. That's where he started his career.
Did you think that was a PI in the last play?
I don't know, man. It's
tough when the game's on the line to call it.
It's so tough because they called it on the play before, And I don't like when the refs decide it, but also that could have decided. I don't know, man.
I think you had a chance to catch that ball.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because
I don't like pointing to one play because I think the game's not decided on one play.
Well, yesterday it was.
No, but I mean, like, I think you also could look at it and be like, look, the Bills had missed 2 field goals, and you also could look at it like, hey, if the Giants don't have to kick a field goal every time and they're able to punch one in, it's a different game. There's a lot of plays to point
but
to.
But it came down to the last play.
But yes, it does suck. It does suck.
It's a
tough call there because no matter what, the refs are always going to be hated on one side because then they would have been the Bills fans would be like, come on, let him play.
There was a lot of bullshit penalties on both sides. It
was a scrappy game.
That fucking roughing the passer on Okereke was pathetic, dude.
It was a scrappy game, but also like
a lot of injuries, a lot of flags, gross game, but
a lot of flags.
I'm upset. Halftime too, Dable saying how Tyrod like checked into a run too.
That's kind of how I point to it. Like you could point to a moment right there where they should have scored, and then it's a totally different game. So
absolutely tough loss.
Like it's tough to pin it on one play.
I mean, at least Saquon's back.
Yeah, he looked good.
I'm happy. I mean, there were so many plays though that like as soon as he got the ball, just stuffed. Yeah. So he had those two really long runs, those big explosive plays that kind of saved the stat line. But man, it was tough sledding last night.
Now, what do we think next week? Do you think Jones is back, or do you think they hold him out another week?
They're saying they're hopeful he's back, and he thinks he's going to play. But then again, he thought he was going to be fine this week. I don't know.
And also, why rush him? After Tyrod played, like, I'm not saying he's taking the job, but I mean, it definitely doesn't make the Giants want to rush back Daniel Jones. I mean, he's your future still. He's the one you gave the contract to, so...
Yeah, but also if they I mean, season's fucking almost over.
That's what I'm saying, so why would you there... It makes him less inclined to rush him back.
It's almost a must-win. I mean, if he doesn't feel pain in his neck, he'll play. If he still feels pain in his neck, I think they'll sit him. I think it's as simple as that.
I think it's a game...
Fuck around with a neck injury.
I will say it's a game I think they can win with or without Jones, though. Like, I think Tyrod showed enough that you can still get the win against the Commanders.
I mean, they really just need Andrew Thomas back, man. Because if you get Thomas back and then you get JMS back at center and you put Pugh at left guard, okay. Hey. Maybe they're a little bit better.
Just talking, we'll get more into that matchup next week, but early bet, take the over in sacks for both teams. It's going to be a lot of sacks.
Could be a lot of sacks.
Because both teams do not like protecting their quarterback.
All right, guys, that wraps up our Week 6 recap. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back later this week for the Week 7 predictions.